right, welcome into episode 2 of the Overqualified Golf Dads podcast. I am Scott Porter. Here with me today is my co-host Maddox Lytle. He's the head coach of Point University, and joining us is Bill Presse, the founder, inventor, brainchild, one of the smartest people that I know, and he's the founder of Lab Golf, and just the technology. And I've known Bill for a long time, almost a decade now, but we're going to get into all of that. So I want to kick it off to Bill first, and just so glad you're here. Thank you for being here, Bill.
Well, thanks for having me on. It's been fun watching all the stuff happening, and you guys have got a fun YouTube thing going, so I like to keep it organic. Let's do it.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate it.
So if you don't know Maddox, Maddox is a head golf coach. We've actually converted about 6 of his students, I think, or his players to lab putters in the last year. Half of them I have not been paid for yet, so we got to work on that. Got to get my investment back. But no, I'm just kidding. But you know, it's one of those things where your company, the one that you started all those many years ago, has had a direct impact on both of our lives. We both are sweepers now. So Maddox just got a custom DF 2.1, and I am still rocking the DF3 with a TPT. Maddox used his some of his winnings from a tournament at my old course this past summer to get that. So Maddox, you want to let us know how that experiment's going and what's going on with that?
Yeah, no, it's been pretty cool. I've only played a couple of rounds with it. Just got it just before Christmas. Scott's been preaching at me for a while to get one, and he's, like he said, he's got a few of our guys that have kind of transitioned over to the lab putters, and everybody always has kind of the same reaction once they use it for a few rounds, and just the ease of use. And one of my guys got the sweeper that Scott made, or kind of helped make for him, and I used it on the putting green for like 20 minutes, and I was like, yeah, I'm getting one. So literally, I think within 2 weeks I ordered mine. And within the first 2 rounds, I've loved it so far. It's super easy to use, and you know, I've done a lot of research on the technology and stuff, and how it works, and it all makes sense, and it's something that I think will help elevate my game a bit, because that's something that I've always struggled with is putting, and so far it just feels it just feels easy, honestly, with especially like the short putts, and once you get over the ball, it just kind of rocking the shoulders and letting it happen. So awesome feeling putter, awesome to see the guys use it. And again, got a lot of my top guys that have transitioned to it, and they love it, and it's made a difference in their game. So
That's cool to hear. You know, nice to meet you. First of all, we've never actually met too much, so yeah, that's it's great to see a college coach out there embracing the technology. I think more and more are, but it's been a long road to get there, and so yeah, getting the younger generation to get past the stigma of whatever they're talking about as new technology or sweepers. Is that what we're supposed to say now?
Yeah, I think we're supposed to say sweepers, not broomsticking.
Okay. Oh, yeah. You think you can? I don't think I can, but you know.
Gotcha. I was on the lab page. The Facebook page is incredible. If you aren't a part of the Lab Rats fan page, or I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but we get some really cool insights to not only how the company started from you and giving us little flashbacks, but also kind of seeing how the technology has grown. So can you talk to us a little bit about that first putter, the directive force, and just what was the original reaction? Maybe the kids that tried it, maybe back in the day.
Yeah, the no torque lab, no torque to the path that it's moving on, in motion was really the big crux. And I did have, I'll tell you, so because he's quite a rock star, is Zebi Perez. He's in Florida now, and the X-Man, and his parents, we've been friends since he was a little kid, and he was the smallest junior I ever made a putter for. And I think it was, I don't know, he'll have to tell you, but it was around 26 inches or something.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and I mean, he's been using the lab been making his putters since he was really short. And I mean, he was probably like 5 years old. I think was when we first 5 or 7 years old at the first PGA show. Now he's one of the top juniors in the country, I think. But he's just a machine, and And so I wanted to get a good junior player real early on because because their extensor muscles and their wrists and their joints, it's still all undeveloped. And when you add lateral motion, that's enough, for them to manage. When you add torque in motion, in the lateral motion, now you've got gamma and beta torque working against a rotational torque, a z-axis torque. And so I thought that, it would be great for juniors. So I really, since the very start, I always try to cater to the kids that will accept new technology. And there has to be two: the parent has to accept it and the child has to accept it. And so that's been one of the most rewarding journeys of the technology that kind of came out of nowhere. That the intent was to fix my own putting, because I was just shaking all over the place. But once you realize what we did, I'm like, gosh, this would be great for juniors. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and that was a big deal. And so we always try to focus on the kids, because that way they don't have any neural pathways to break down later when they do go to a lab, or they've been managing a face balance torque pattern or a toe flow, toe hang torque signature. You have to let go of those pathways, and certain muscles keep working and certain muscles relax. And so trying to get them young as possible is critically important to the success, I feel, of the company in the long run. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think one of the things, that in my experience of coaching juniors is they're so creative and they can imagine things way more than I can get adults to imagine. So I think that anytime you have that process, it can definitely be beneficial. So another question I have, when you talk about, we're all a little bit of club junkies, right? We're all a little bit of wanting to tweak. So one of the things Maddox mentioned was the fact that one of our students, it was a 45-inch putter that I had cut down to 43 because I was going more like Lucas Glover, trying to get a little lower, more hovering over it. Didn't work for me. I'm 6'3", so I wanted, and then I bought the DF3 and went back to 46, which is what I'm fit for. But the college player was actually the same. He's about the same height as me, a little taller. So I had to extend it back. So in that case, obviously the technology probably is a little bit skewed, but we're still seeing such good results. I think that just speaks to the technology. And I think it also speaks to, if you believe the putter's going to work for you, it's going to work for you. So in that case, should I send that one back in the lab and get it rebalanced?
Not if you're putting it back to what it was.
Okay. Yeah, that's where I went with that. I was just making sure.
Is it a carbon fiber shaft?
It was an Acura that I used a graphite extension back in.
Yeah, all day long. Just
perfect.
Put it back in. Yeah.
Sorry for the side note.
Yeah, I mean, the odds, as long as the whatever shaft you cut to put in there is put in tapered right and it's straight.
Perfect. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So with that being said, I think you're seeing that YouTube golf has really taken a hold of labs, and I think that's a testament to y'all's marketing, but also the proof is in the pudding. And I remember when Birdman, right, Brett Douglas was making all the putts on Facebook 10 years ago, back when me and you first kind of got to know each other a little bit, but the proof is in the pudding. You don't just make 60 footers every day and have video of it every day,
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun to watch. I mean, like just now, today, 2 hours ago, Phil and Wesley dropped their YouTube match. And I posted, I think a lab putter is going to win.
No doubt.
Because they're both rolling a lab.
Fixed income. Yeah, fixed outcomes, baby.
This thing's rigged. This is great.
Absolutely.
Well, just the sheer amount of, I think we're going to look back at this in hindsight years down the road, and the gargantuan shift to YouTube marketing from the old platform, which was a sales rep, Golf Digest, try to get a Golf Channel video out, and really since COVID, the YouTube influencers have just a massive grip on the marketing because it's real. Nothing can get by the marketing um, of a big company when it's a YouTuber just putting out their own content and they bought the product freely. And
Right.
I think that's where you see the genuine. That's where people are going to see past, the bullshit that they might encounter out on the net
Right.
about technology. And they just go to YouTube and then they find somebody like the average golfer guy. He doesn't get paid anybody. He just does it. And there's so many of them though like that, and it's hard to discredit that. Not just one, not just two, but just on and on. I mean, if you put lab golf on your search bar on YouTube,
Millions.
there's no end.
Yeah, millions of
You
hits.
can scroll for 20 minutes, I swear, and there's no stop.
Yeah. So one of the first things Maddox and I ever did together on social media was he actually was my caddy for that match where I lost to the used car salesman.
Oh, you were there? Oh, I watched that. Oh God, you just
that was a crazy day.
Oh, the field goal guy. What was his name?
Oh, so you had John Wesley Robinson. Don't want to give him too many shout outs. I'm sure this is going to be all over do where it's my par. Hi guys, it's been a while. But no, so I mean, but we were even seeing it back then. I think one of the reasons I started Club Junkies, there was a couple of y'all, but a lot of the reasons I started Club Junkies 10 plus years ago was because some of the Facebook groups were kind of squeezing some of the smaller companies, and they were going to start charging y'all for advertisement and me being 19, bit of a socialist ass outlook on life. I was like, Facebook's free, like this is bull, and that was the reason we started Club Junkies back in the day, was because of Lab and some of the putter refinisher companies and stuff.
With you?
So it was myself, Kip Yates, who's another Georgia boy here, Nick Petrikos, the Greek. He's big into Betnardi, but also into Lab as well. And then Billy Lauren, a guy out of Panama City. So there was like four of us, and we were all, dude, we didn't know what the heck we were doing. We were all in our early, actually late teens. I was like 19 at the time.
That was like when the what was it? The GCT got hijacked by.
No, that was us. We got hijacked.
That's right.
Yeah, that was us. And the whole deal with this might go viral now, especially with that group.
That's where the match like originally came from. It's like he wanted rights to the page.
He wanted to be an admin, right? So he wanted to be an admin, and he was like trying to put up $500. And for me, I was making $10 an hour, assistant pro life, or $12 an hour, whatever it was, and he wanted to become an admin on the page. And so he swore up and down that nothing was going to happen. He won, blah, blah, blah. I played, oh God, that was maybe the worst day probably the worst day of golf I've ever played.
It was not
good. Dude, playing on camera is different. Like I've gotten better at it now since, but nothing has ever replicated that day. Knowing everybody's watching it live, somebody made a YouTube video about 6 weeks later, 5 weeks later, I don't know, and it was basically, I think I just watched the future of golf, and it was like this Facebook match, and he went all about it, and it was, he basically called like the matches on YouTube like 5 years ago. And I'm not saying we took any credit for that. We did not. It was so isolated to this small Facebook golf community, this 5,000 or so people that were interested in it. But anyway, so that's a little bit of backstory about when I met you. I met you way back then when we were starting Club Junkies and whatnot. And then we got hacked or it got taken over. And so it's still going. Somehow we do have a couple admins now that have just kept it rolling, and I haven't done much with the page in quite a while, but good to know that
they're still rolling. Yeah,
still rolling.
You got your usual suspects still out there, Fish and Dustin and
good dudes.
Everybody knows everybody by now, so it's pretty.
Yeah, and that's the coolest part is
it was all like who's getting to know who, what's doing what, as this golf thing was taken off, and the group thing in the chatter is pretty fun.
I should have somehow figured out to do what they did and somehow monetized it when I had the chance, when we were growing a little bit, but I mean, at the same time, I started it to not monetize it like they were doing. So, anyways, yeah, Dustin and Fish and all those guys, they've been really, really good to me in the years since and years past. So, shout out to Golf Club Traders on Facebook. But more
Yeah,
importantly,
yeah.
Lab Golf fans, Lab Golf Rats on Facebook. I think that page is almost 20 grand strong now, and just a ton of insight of how to use the putters. So, for any juniors out there, for any dads getting their kids into golf, number one, I just saw a post that said the lab team helped somebody make like a 25-inch putter. So they're following in your footsteps there. So that is available, I think, with the customer service team. What do you think people should be doing early in putting to get their kids involved and excited about golf?
Um, Not make it results orientated. Make it fun. The kids, they don't like to be told what to do. They're just trying stuff, and they trial and error. And let them trial and error. And
Absolutely.
and you can show them how to hold it briefly and stuff. And if they want to, if you see them doing something else, shut up. Just shut up. Let them go. They're learning. This is how they learn. This is true learning, and then they'll never do it again. And I just sometimes I catch myself wanting to reach out when I see really young kids in a real strict regime, um because they'll get burned out and they'll get really good, but then when they get to be an adult, it's not going to be something fun that they're going to enjoy. I mean, they may, but then the real thing with juniors is having them together. When they're individualized or they're out by themselves, there's they they don't I don't think they learn as much because they learn from each other more than they they don't trust adults. I mean, they'd rather try what he's doing over there than what you're telling them to do. Right? So keeping the kids together and socialized and letting them compete amongst each other at whatever level that they find comfortable, and colors, big, the big golf balls, the big clubs, and whacking those plastic things around, and they stick on the wall. Uh, I mean, anything like that. Putting is such a drab part of the game. I mean, there's no junior. Well, there's a few that goes out to just love putting. That's like miniature golf stuff. But when you get in the real world and you go out with parents and there's no dinosaurs on the green, you're like, oh, this is like really big and flat.
Right.
uh, it loses that fun. So it's hard to keep putting exciting for kids. It really, I mean, I like it when I walk into a golf course and I see the strings, like they'll
Mm.
use tee markers or they'll use a stick or a rock, and they have like a little putting course set up, not just for an event, just like the assistant or the head pro goes out there and sets up a little putting course for the day. Um, so that people can engage along a course that's and if you put the strings the way the putt's generally going to break, then the kids start to know, okay, it's going to go this way, right? And those little putting courses with strings and stuff, I think that's really so effective at keeping them engaged. And then the swing weights. I mean, swing weights with kids. This is the from my part of the business. Kids, when you move a putter back and it hits a golf ball, if the head's not heavy enough, then there's the collision. There's not as much energy put in the ball. Well, until the golf weight of the golf ball changes, kids really shouldn't be using adult golf balls because the physics of the golf club and their hands and their wrists and the swing that they're trying to tug this golf club along, yeah, is really messed up in my opinion. So I just wish that until the age of 13 or 10 or whatever we figure out, that there should be a junior ball so that the physics of the golf club and the collision are not that of an adult.
Yeah.
because it's a totally different collision. So, anyways, but then when you get into putting, you got a light ball and stuff, that gets weird. So, there's just too much, I think, pressure on kids' wrists when they're, let's say, take USA kids golf clubs, made great, they're made right, but the kids play heavy golf balls, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not good. I think that's a general thing that we could fix, low hanging fruit for kids, and start so that they don't get bad habits from the club being so heavy that they're dragging outside the box instead of being up in the front.
Right.
And that's because of the club's heavy. And so
Well, and
anyway.
to your point, US Kids does do a pretty decent job of swing weighting and proportional as they grow. But like you said, the golf ball is the same weight for us and for them. And I think to dissect a little bit of what you said, I think what you're asking for is the game of golf as a whole to kind of come up with some type of, hey, this is best for juniors. This is what's gonna replicate best for as they grow. This is gonna replicate the ball flight and the height, that they can achieve and stuff if you just make the golf ball a touch lighter. And I think that's a really, really good idea. I love what you said about the putting course and setting it up on the putting green. And one thing I want dads to know is most golf pros across the country, if you have an idea and you are creative and you offer to help with that said idea, you're gonna have your way, and they're gonna be like, dude, nobody's ever out here on Thursday night. Let's go for it. Let's set it up. Let's see if we can get some kids out. That's something that, as golf pros, I will speak to that side of things where everybody can enjoy it, but you can have 2 members hate it, and those 2 members will be louder than everybody that's enjoying it. They're like, I just came out here to practice 3-footers. So you're gonna have to have a hole set aside, for those grumpy dudes. But for the most part, everybody's going to enjoy that and everybody's going to love that. And it just takes a little bit of creativeness from the parent there, saying, hey, can we do this? We used to do it where I would set it up on the night of a PJ Junior League night, and then we would use it all for member guest weekend for that next night and the next day. And the kids just loved it. I mean, like you said, it's, if you kind of contour it, they enjoy
it up
so
on
much
the
more.
Green, there's no event, just a Sunday morning or a Tuesday, whatever. If you put that on the green and just watch a camera throughout the day, you'll see people going and putting more. If that's not up there and you watch that same green, the activity just isn't as the same.
Yeah, Maddox, I don't know. Have you been to Bobby Jones in Atlanta?
Yeah.
They have that new
Assistants Cup up there, and they have the 18-hole course or whatever.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
You couldn't get all the, to your point, it's not just necessarily for juniors. I mean, for us when we were up there for the Assistants Cup, and I don't know, this was 5-6 years ago, but nobody went to the range. Everybody just stood up there and did that. And when we had a little lunch break, and everybody went back and just putted around that for fun. And the guy that I was playing with, my partner for that event, I don't know, we had some money on it. There's so much more that you can do with a course. And again, I've also been in the world of being a golf pro, where every time I could see the putting green out of one window, and I could see the range out of the other. And every time I looked out the putting green window, there was maybe 1 or 2 guys there, but then you look out the back window and it's full, right? And then all these guys are complaining about the slow greens, or I can't putt, or I got to buy a new putter. It's the putter's fault, this and that. It was well, I mean, to be fair,
if they're not using a lab.
Yeah, but seriously, I mean, the biggest issue with all that is the fact that they're just not. But I think, to your point, there's no fun in that. Who wants to go hit a ball that stays on the ground? Everybody wants to go out there and see how far they can hit it and curve it this way or that way. And it's the same thing with kids. I can remember helping Jay with one at Canongate 1 when I was playing professionally, just for a little extra cash. He let me help him out, and the kids, they lit up when we had the rings around the holes, or like I said, just as simple as putting the strings out to where you can kind of see how it breaks. They love that, and you couldn't get them off of that those days that we used that. Other than that,
even around just the perimeter of the putting green, it's not bothering you to have your holes, and you put discs down, just something to get their eyes going. What's that? Oh, let's go
Yeah,
putt on
it's a,
that.
it's, it's a visual. Even like for I don't know, like scramble events and stuff that we play in or that I've played in, you see
I think we
something on
lost
one
him
of the
there, but
holes that's
um,
so
Yeah. Yeah, I went up to Black Wolf Run last year in Kohler, and they have the most amazing putting course at Black Wolf Run. Uh, and you spend all day there. It's unbelievable.
absolutely, absolutely, Bill. I think that for a lot of parents too, they want to get their practice in. And when you drag a kid to the putting green, you're so protective of the putting green, and you're so worried that your kids are going to mess it up. So I do have a couple pieces of advice for parents. No golf shoes for kids. Dumb, not shouldn't be a thing. Let them wear the Vans. Let them get some tennis shoes. Like no golf shoes with spikes for kids, at least on the putting green. Just
Vans.
that is so beneficial for your peace of mind when you're there, because you won't look behind you and just see him dragging his foot across the green, and you're like, oh my gosh. And then the second piece of advice I have for that is, if you can make it more game like, where every time they make a putt, they get a certain amount of points. Every time you make a putt, you get a certain amount of points. They want to beat you so badly. And I know this just because I've taught so many of them, and they want to beat me so badly. So I know they're going to want to beat their dad. They want to beat you so badly. They're going to be so intently focused. And one of the things that I think we struggle with in this generation is trying to keep the kids' attention. And if you can keep them in a game to 11, like a basketball game, you get 3 points, I get 1 point. We're making 5-footers, first one to 11. Anything like that, I think that can really just hone in on kids, and especially the competitive ones. And those are the ones that you kind of want to make sure that are staying interested in golf as all the other sports get more competitive as they age. So great insight there, Bill. Maddox, is there any question you had for Bill that you wanted to ask?
No, I think you covered the questions. I just want to say that like to your point earlier was about like the again the technology that I thought was super I guess important with lab is I was listening to the a different podcast with you on it earlier talking about how like the toe hang and the face balance, like it was just like a marketing tool. And maybe I'm silly and maybe I'm just like I don't know what, but I've never seen a difference in the two of them. And I feel like to your point, like you have to force that to happen.
It's actually the opposite. If I put a face balance putter in my torque meter and I put it in motion, and I put a toe flow putter in my torque meter and put it in motion, and I were to show you those graphs, it's the torque wave signature from address, transition to impact, and we can see those lines. You would swear up and down on a tree that a face balance putter should be for toe flow, arcing putt, and a toe hang putter would be for a square back, square through theory. That's the dead honest truth. You if you were a scientist, or if I took any of the smartest guys in the golf industry and I didn't say what it was, they would 100% identify the other way. You can't get by it. Like,
Yeah, that's
That's
crazy.
incredible.
yeah. So, but one thing before we go to, so broomsticking in juniors. Okay, this is my favorite topic. Is like in what's what's really cool. We're starting to see more kids broomsticking right from the get go. Because that's just a stigma or a paradigm about short putters.
I'm
Um,
gonna protect you real quick. Sweeping,
Sweeping,
sweeping.
yes, yes. If they're sweeping, uh, yeah. Yeah. We'll see if I say. I gotta think about that. All right, but yes. So the thing is that when the little kids get their elbow out and they're putting with their lead obliques, and that's the motor of the stroke, and not this. It's really these deep inner core inside your girdle up under your armpit that's driving that stroke. Once you get it, oh my god! If kids get that,
So easy.
like the Oz, for example. So the Oz, when the Oz hits in broomstick this year, when Oz hits in sweeper this year, then it'll be just it's insane. I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to be such a good broomstick platform.
Yeah, I
Like
can't wait to get my hands on one of those.
yeah, it dropped in short because that's the big market, right? Like you got to follow those, and there were so many um, that it just takes us a while to release the broom, but I can promise you that that Oz putter is going to uh, sweep some titles this year for sure. That's going to be a big one.
Maddox, the DF 2.1 is still really, really good. Don't feel bad for buying that
Yeah.
one. So,
Yeah, I know. I
with
was
the new
just
one
thinking
coming.
I'm gonna get on Club Junkies
There you go.
and trade my sweeper
There
with
you
the
go.
with the 2.1 for the Oz.
I actually had something funny, Bill. This happened this summer when I started broom or sweeping. One of my juniors was messing around and he grabbed his 3-wood shaft, and on his own, instinctively, he took the top of his 3-wood grip and put it up here. He then grabbed the 3-wood shaft and the putter grip with this hand,
Right
and
there.
and he just started putting, just mimicking or mirror. He's a little bit of a jokester, so I think he was like poking fun at me a little bit because it was like the first or second day in junior camp with the sweeper. But also he was like, "This is really easy," and I was like, "Yeah." And you have two disconnecting pieces. So, anyways, I think that kids can be super creative, and I think broomsticking is just a more repeatable motion to give somebody that maybe doesn't have any interest in repeating motion at the moment.
It's
Right?
just a bigger muscle group. There's none of these little other muscles in play anymore. It's when they're made right, and your mechanics, like you got a good coach, you got your technique right. Uh, it's just amazing, especially the modern style. When you got your 90, you got your box. That's never breaking down. It's just so good.
Yeah.
And the other thing I really like about this new style, to where we're not fully up here, is that there's no debating whether it's touching, right? So like when I broomstick, I mean, nobody says I'm off, right? It's clear. I'm not touching my arm or doing anything or moving this as a structure, or even your forearm in here. Because the modern way, it's there's no discussion, and I think it alleviates a lot of chatter and noise and static about anchoring
Right.
online, because nobody says, "Hey, Adam's anchoring," or "Glover's anchoring," or we're VJ and Bernhard. They get lit up. They
I was about to
do.
say, there's only one,
Can't
at
avoid,
least right
you
now.
can't avoid the chatter, right? Like
Right.
it's there. So
I do have a question. I'm my golf instruction. I kind of teach a lot of Mike Adams, Terry rolls, swing the way you're supposed to swing, grip it the way you're supposed to grip it, strong, on top, etc. Exactly. And when it comes to sweeping, I've actually found with myself that I play under, so I have a super strong right hand. It's actually easier for me to have that palm underneath the putter grip compared to on the side, more like Adam Scott. Is that something you've experienced with your players and your students that you've helped?
yeah, I think some of it has to do with the way they're holding their top, if they're flat or if they're cupped.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because if you're cupped and you pull that's an open face. And if you start flat and you have a tendency to rotate your shoulders instead of drip, that's going to close the face. So there's things that go together. And I think in general, when you see somebody's rotator cuff, if you do a TPI test on their external shoulder rotation, or their ability to fully supinate their shoulder and their forearm, if you have that range of motion, you won't have very much tension to get back to true neutral in your bone structure, right? So I've tried both ways. um, I usually, on long putts, I actually kind of get my arm out. I don't go under. But like little 3-foot fast putts, I'll let this shaft, rest on one of these fingers for the lie angle.
That's interesting. So you'll actually mix up your grip for depending on the
Yeah,
putts. But I got my I got my
100%.
butt I got my butt kicked this year by a guy he's been around forever on the PGA section, but he hit draws with a interlock and cuts with an overlap on his full
Interesting.
swing. And I mean he was like 7 under through 13
Yeah,
in our match.
Yeah, so the interlock always strengthens the right hand.
Yep.
You can't, especially you got fat fingers, you're always like, oh, that hurts. And then you like get your hands together and all of a sudden your right hand's down,
Right, absolutely. Well, Bill, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on, man. We don't want to take up too much of your time here today, but I can't thank you enough for your friendship and just how, courteous you've been towards me and all of my questions that I've had for you over the years. I do want to give you a major shout out for coming on here, the Overqualified Golf Dads podcast. You are a dad, correct?
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong in that. You are a dad?
Grandpa, yeah.
Grandpa now. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, best of luck for any future endeavors that you do. We can't wait to hear from you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure knowing everybody over the years. Maddox, it's nice to meet you in person.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Thanks for coming
on. Yeah, keep up the good work and enjoy the game as much as possible. We'll keep making putters.
Yeah, Bill. Thanks, man. We appreciate it. You heard it here first from Bill Presse. If you want to make more putts, go get yourself a Lab putter. This is episode 002 of the Overqualified Golf Dads podcast. See ya.